Hey moviegoers, welcome to Married Movie Reviews. My name is Mike.
And I'm Karen, and today we are reviewing Star Trek Into Darkness. This one came out 3 years ago, so be warned, there are spoilers.
Star Trek Into Darkness is directed by J.J. Abrams and is the sequel to the 2009 reboot.
It brings back the entire cast and introduces a new villain, Khan, played by Benedict Cumberbatch.
The story takes place roughly 1 year after the events of the first one, where a superhuman terrorist, Khan, kills a lot of people, including Kirk's father figure, Admiral Pike.
And basically, when you boil the story down, it's Enterprise being sent on a manhunt for Khan so that Kirk can get his revenge.
The plot in this movie is a lot simpler than in the first one. The first one, you got the time travel concept, you get introduced to all the characters, you got the switching of the command of the Enterprise. This one is just a manhunt, pure and simple.
Yeah, I thought the plot in this one was a little bit lacking. It was not as good as the first one. And I think it was just because it was pretty predictable, and there were just some elements in there that were really fantastical and not very believable. As far as, I really didn't like the fight scene on that trash compactor thing. I just was like, really? Okay.
Especially nearing the end of that fight where Spock and Khan are having their showdown of powers. Khan's trying to crush Spock's skull, and Spock is trying to do the Vulcan neck thing to Khan, and neither one of them can quite overpower each other. You
knew going into it how ruthless Khan was, and you kept waiting for him to crack at some point. You're like, he's going to do something that's just crazy, because most of the movie he's very cool and calculated, and his persona is very calm, but still intimidating. You just know that at some point he's going to flip a switch and start killing a bunch of people.
Mm-hmm. This film has a much darker tone compared to the first one. The emotional impact is a lot stronger. You have the near death of Spock in the beginning, which, like you said, was kind of predictable. You knew he wasn't going to die because it's Spock. You have the story about the man whose daughter's dying of some disease that Khan makes a deal with him in order to save her. He has to go destroy a facility of Starfleet. Afterward, you get the death of Admiral Pike, where that's a really touching scene because he's Kirk's father figure and kind of in a way mentor to Spock as well. Near the end of the film, you get Kirk sacrificing himself to save the Enterprise and the entire crew. And he dies of radiation poisoning. And that scene was so much better, in my opinion, than the original Wrath of Khan scene, where their roles are kind of reversed from the original Wrath of Khan, where William Shatner had his Khan yell. This one from Zachary Quinto as Spock just works so much better. It gives me shivers down my spine every time I hear that yell.
In addition to the dark tone, though, I felt like they tried a little too hard with the humor in this one.
Yeah.
They tried to make it lighthearted to kind of balance it out a little bit, but I'm not sure it worked as well in this one. I'm not a huge fan of the beginning with the primitive species, where the prime directive is to not involve yourself at all, and Kirk's running through the forest with them, and they're all just kind of, there goes our ride, and Kirk goes, oh, great, and you're like, that's supposed to be funny, it just didn't work very well.
The dynamics between Kirk and Spock really evolved well. They kind of fight like a married couple.
We would know.
Yeah. And especially in this one scene right before the big meeting with all the higher-ups in Starfleet, Kirk has this moment where he's saying, I'm going to miss you, because they get reassigned to different ships. And Spock just kind of looks at him. And Kirk just, it worked really well.
Yeah.
And it was one of those good comedy moments.
Yeah, and it shows, again, the depth and the discovery with Spock of, like, why is he talking to me like this? Both Kirk and Spock go through this change for the better, and they both grow as characters. And Kirk is, really arrogant, and he thinks the rules don't apply to him, and he's very much, nothing can hurt me, there's not a no-win scenario, and I can do everything kind of attitude. And in this one, he has almost a wake-up call where he's like, oh, wow, I really have to be responsible. the captain of this ship, and there's a lot of people's lives that I have to deal with, but he still is battling with that new part of him, but still battling with the old part where he's wanting revenge on Khan and going through back and forth with himself a little bit. And I thought they did that really well. And Spock, he's starting to be a little less of a know-it-all, and he knows all the answers to every situation, even the emotional situations. He knows the logical conclusion. In this one, I feel like he's discovering something new about himself, and I think Zachary Quinto really pulled that off pretty well.
Yeah, he's getting more in touch with his human side in this one, and letting go of the Vulcan side of him.
We have to talk about Benedict Cumberbatch, because I do not think this movie would be anywhere near as good as it was without him as Khan, because he pulls off it's really scary, almost psychopathic character where you know something's wrong, but he's so calm and collected and in control of himself that you're kind of like, what's going on with this guy? But I think Benedict Cumberbatch, with his voice and his facial expressions, especially, it gives me chills when he's in the prison, which obviously is not really going to contain him, on the Enterprise, where he's starting to talk about his family, and he turns away from Kirk and Spock and Bones, I think it is, and he's obviously very much enraged, so much so that the fact that he starts tearing, and you're just like, he's a crazy person, what's going to happen? But he did it so well, and I loved that, and Benedict Cumberbatch is always really good about that kind of thing.
You kind of feel different ways about Khan's character throughout the movie. Your opinion changes of him several times. Like in the beginning, you don't like him at all because he kills a bunch of characters, including Admiral Pike.
I'm going to disagree with you, because I liked him at the beginning, because the first thing you see of him is him trying to save that man's daughter, and you're like, oh,
that's true.
It's a good guy who has a really cool voice.
But immediately after that,
yes,
the explosion happens. Right. And after all that killing, he pretty much saves Kirk, Uhura, and Spock from being killed by the Klingons on Kronos. It's cool. The way his fight scene is really cool. And that scene where Kirk is trying to beat him up and he just can't, that scene was pretty terrifying.
But again, to your point, you feel differently about him throughout the whole thing. Like, even in that one scene, you're like, I kind of like this guy because he's beating all the Klingons with the phaser. As soon as he, gets punched the last time by Kirk, and he, turns and looks at him and just goes, Captain, then you're like, ooh, I don't like that guy. I thought it was really good.
Mm-hmm. And then later, you find out that his intentions about getting his crew back, which he refers to as his family, and he's, really emotional about it, and you're like, wow, this guy actually has some pretty good motives for what he's doing. Admiral Marcus, who is basically in charge of Starfleet at this point, is using Khan for his own benefit to get a new starship that's designed for war. He really connects with Kirk on that level where crew is family, and basically asking him, is there anything you wouldn't do for your family? His character was the best part about this movie.
The tributes in this movie I thought were really well done. They were tasteful, and there wasn't so much in your face, but it was enough to be like, that's cool. And it pays homage to a lot of different things. For example, the Millennium Falcon move through the really tight space where it just kind of goes in. And I think J.J. Abrams does a really good job of bringing Star Trek fans and Star Wars fans together in that way, where it's just kind of like, hey, we're all space AG type fans. We like the space movies.
You even get the line from Spock about the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few. That was a good throwback as well.
Another little tasteful tribute that I like was with the Tribble, where it just kind of Bones is messing with it on the table and just kind of all of a sudden comes alive because of Khan's super blood, and Bones is like, what?
If you've seen any episodes of the original series, hopefully one of them was the Tribble episode, because it's just so bad, but so good at the same time.
And even if you haven't seen it, I'm sure you might even know what a Tribble is, because
it's just a little ball of fluff.
Who can't resist that? It's like a Pokemon.
Yeah, and when it comes back alive with Khan's blood, it's just so cute but annoying at the same time.
I liked this movie. I didn't like it as much as I did the first one. and I would have liked it a lot less had Benedict Cumberbatch not been Khan. He brought so much to this movie that wouldn't have been there otherwise, and I felt like everything else was fine, but it was just fine. And so for that reason, I give Star Trek Into Darkness a C.
While I love this movie and where it takes the characters, it just lets them evolve naturally. The character dynamics between Kirk and Spock just grow to a more enjoyable level. It brings in a new version of Khan, who I think is a much better villain than Nero was in the first one. It's just slightly overshadowed by the first one, with the magic kind of being lost, and the stakes didn't seem quite as high in this one as opposed to the first one. In the first one, you have Earth about to be destroyed. In the second one, it's really just the Enterprise that's about to be destroyed. So for all those reasons, I give Star Trek Into Darkness a B.
So we want to hear from you. Did you like this movie? Did you hate it? Am I too harsh? Is he too easygoing? Let us know in the comment section below.
And if you like this video and want to see more, you can click right over there, or you can click right here and subscribe.
Thanks for watching.